Welcome, everybody, to the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance podcast. My name is Bryan Foltice, and today we're going to be continuing our topic of personal finance. This time we're going to talk about bad decisions, what drive them, and how to override these bad decisions. Thank you for watching or listening today. I am loving this new format. Being able to do this via audio and not having the camera on just makes things a lot more comfortable, and hope it doesn't bother anybody on your side. I don't imagine it will. But thank you for listening anyway. Today, like I said, we're going to be talking about the bad side of personal finances, and this is all stemming from our conversation about how our experiences and our upbringing lead us into our default decision-making processes. And if they are good, hey, that's great news. There are a lot of things that my parents did that were amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And these are things that I bring into my adulthood very easily. I don't have to think about it. They come very naturally. Just like my dad's amazing ability to tell dad jokes, I now suddenly can tell the most amazing bad dad jokes to my 14 and 11-year-old sons. It's amazing. It's so natural. Don't have to think about it. But then there are some other things like our finances that we have to override. And it really took a lot of effort and a lot of work to change these behaviors. So the way we had it set up was basically I had to teach myself all these things. Now, what I didn't mention last week was I am now, this is why I'm so passionate about this topic, is that I want to teach people and have these conversations about money, because the more people that I talk to, the more times I hear, oh, we need to talk about this. We should, I wish we had this growing up. Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to have this conversation, and I want to talk about money in a way that is not scary, not stressful, and really try to change these defaults to say that it's okay to have conversations with your kids or to have the discussion in general, because this is, how are we going to make better decisions if we can't talk about it? I know I didn't. When we didn't talk about it, it led me to all the wrong decisions. So that's what I am here for. That's why even in my job, I talk about this with my students. I am working on a program at Butler to support all students, not just finance or business students. And so we're kicking off this program. It's called Money Strong at this point, and basically the first step in this program is to just sit down and have an introductory conversation, only to realize that it's not that bad. It's not that scary. We can work through it, and there can be a support system that will help people, because sometimes people don't know where to look. And when they do look, it's going to point them in not great directions. And that's what we're going to be there for. So as I said, I'm not making excuses for not recording consistently. There's been a lot that we're working on. And so if I'm in front of between 100 and 200 students so far this semester, in my mind I'm going, that means there's about 4,800 students that I haven't reached. And so it's this ambitious program. There's a lot of great things going on. Anyway, a slight sidestep, but also realizing that this is what I am trying to get people to talk about. So you don't have to go through my upbringing and learn through all of the mistakes the hard way. Speaking of hard way mistakes, I've got 4 mistakes that I've highlighted in my life that I'd like you to think about and see if you're going to do any of the same, or what you struggle with and how you might be able to reshape how you're thinking about it. So once again, for me, it is changing my beliefs on these topics, acknowledging the mistakes, not beating myself up for it, but then trying to improve from it. This first one actually starts at a kind of high level. It says, stop saving and start investing. Stop saving and start investing. I was always a great saver. And this comes back from my parents, who I noticed, hey, they were pretty frugal. You could see that they were living, they had some margin and whatever. They were saving some money and living frugally. But there was like this saver's mentality. There was never going to be enough, and it was more like this, we kind of think of this as a scarcity mindset. There's never enough, and I'm always going to be scared about it. Anything that I hold, I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. All of these type of thoughts and beliefs that we have around money that we have saved. Now also, savings, if you have these money saved in an account and you're earning nothing on it, and we have inflation that is, just making up a number, 5%, you know that in real terms, your purchasing power is going backwards by 5%. And so savings is, in general, a good idea, but when you're saving just for savings purposes, you're going backwards. You're not actually moving forward with any sort of improvement in your finances. And so once I realized, I mentioned before, we had this emergency fund, and I really held that near and dear, and didn't really make a lot, nothing really, in a money market account from 2008 until only a couple of years ago when we started raising interest rates. It was literally 0.01% yield, and this was the old high yield money market account. Well, that was going backwards, having that money saved. And the shift now into money saved to money invested doesn't mean you just go and blow it all and you just get it all out, but you put it to work and you put it to use, and you get that money circulating. You get that money to flow. So that's actually abundance. Abundance is the flow of money, letting money flow through you. By investing, you're actually letting money flow. And shifting that mindset from savings mentality to investing and letting money grow and flow. Oh, did you see that? I didn't even know. Money grow, money flow. Then this is going to be just an aha moment for me of really gaining wealth and improving my financial situation for myself, for Mandy, and for the whole family, my whole family. So that was a big shift that I've had to identify and realize saving is good, investing way better, putting that money to use. Number 2, this one comes from previous experiences, not related to my parents, but housing. So not everyone, but most people think of housing as your way to become a multimillionaire, you get housing. And my experience was actually a little bit different, because my first house purchase was in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Florida, back in 2007, 2008. And we bought our first condo, and we bought a new build in a new, what was it? It was a townhome, so 2-story townhome, and it was in a new community and right on the border of Jacksonville and St. Augustine, and I think we bought it for about $150,000 or $160,000. And had that, and well, the financial crisis came, and this was right on the edge of that financial crisis, which meant all of those ninjas. So this is the no income, no job or assets, the ninja. These were the individuals who were getting into our community. And so the ninjas, as this foreclosures were happening, were all falling off and foreclosing at the same time. And I'll never forget seeing houses for foreclosure on sale around $40,000 or $50,000, and I'm going, oh my God, does that mean I am $100,000 upside down on this at the moment? And if you have a long-term view on it, then you can kind of convince yourself out of it, but you're going to be stuck there for a long time. Now, what we ended up having was we wanted to go back to Germany. We wanted to sell that house just to get unattached from the Jacksonville, Florida area, and we couldn't do it. So we rented it out and took a bath on it. So we called that our money pit. And through this experience, it's not surprising to think, I'm not a big fan of fucking real estate. Sorry. I'm not a big fan of real estate because it doesn't always go up in value. And so even coming back to Indiana, very hesitant to buy, going, man, these prices are really high. I see it coming down. People are overextended. It's feeling like the financial crisis. And I finally realized, like last year, I'm like, you're going to be here. My kids, the youngest one is in 5th grade. I'm going to be here for about another 10 to 12 years minimum. Is it, even if things go down, would it still be worthwhile to buy a home? And based on the pricing here in Indiana and the rates I was able to get for a mortgage, the answer became yes. And the only thing I'm kicking myself on in hindsight is why I didn't have that change in thought all these years ago, about 9 years ago when we finally moved into Fishers. And I was just renting houses from time to time. So anyway, this was like, I'm way late to the party, but I also feel like I'm a big fan of the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, and I will be calling in there hopefully in the next couple of years and with my own story. But the Millionaires podcast dive into interviews talking to people with net worths more than $1 million. And they get all sorts of different backgrounds, but a lot of people are into real estate, and they feel like real estate is the only way. And I can agree with them. I can get behind that as long as they believe that, or they have in the back of their mind some contingency plan that housing prices don't always go up. There are situations where they can go down, and at least acknowledge that there is risk to this. Because sometimes the way people talk when you're in real estate is there's only one way, and that's up. And essentially, these are the people, when markets go down, realize that they're leveraged either 10, 20, or 50 to 1, which all that means is if you are leveraged 20 to 1 and that price goes down by 5%, that means you've lost all of your capital. So again, this is a highly leveraged thing for many people, and I don't know if they fully understand that, but nevertheless, I've come a long way on housing, have my own. Heck, if we get a pullback in housing pricing, got money on the sidelines that we can start thinking about rental incomes, and can't rule it out. But that's number 2, and that's been a big change. Number 3, stock picking and stock timing. So this has been one of the things where, once again, going back to the financial crisis, that was when I started investing money. That was back in 2007 and 2008. Losing a bunch of money and taking on, just seeing your accounts splitting in half. That was my first experience. So of course, I'm taking that with me into later adulthood, where I've got more money now, there's more at stake, and you start trying to be a market timer. And I know that market timing is not the best way to go. And so suddenly I have to really override these previous experiences and think about, look, you're not a market timer. And anybody who claims they are, you can immediately call them out, because any legitimate research and legitimate background on this, anybody who's studied it in the proper way can show you that just whenever you get it, there's no need to market time. If you have money saved up, put it to use. Over the long term, that is going to be your best strategy moving forward. And so stock picking, that's one of the things now where it's automatically. So a lot of that 401k, that automatically goes every month and is allocated on its own. One of the things that in my brokerage account as well, really trying to stick to a plan of putting it to use, both from a stock picking standpoint and from a investing standpoint. That's point number one, to put it to use and not try to wait it out and wait for the market to soften. Although when the S&P's hitting 5,000, I'm going, wait a minute, well, maybe I should think about it. Am I buying at 5,000? And I have to just talk my way through it and say, yes, you are. Go on in. So that's number 3. Ooh, and number 4. This is spending behavior. I always prided myself on being the frugal one, and I realize now I've loosened up. I've softened up my stance on spending, and now I've become a pretty decent spender, where there are some things that will spend some considerable money on. Now, in my notes, I have 3 things. Number 1, Christmas. I spend a lot of money on Christmas to go over the top and to be that real life Clark W. Griswold from Christmas Vacation, and using that time to go over. And I realized that, once again, this is what my parents did. They created a really nice Christmas environment, and a lot of the gifts that a lot of the purchases we would make throughout the year were deferred towards Christmas. And so we do a lot of the same thing. A lot of big purchases for the kids and for each other are deferred until the day. And usually it's a big extravaganza day, but there's a lot of spending that goes into that I could probably easily throttle back on. And then number 2, we spend a lot of time at the arcade. So I know some of you go, really? Arcade? Well, we go there quite often, and we like to go and try to find the machines that are mispriced or paying out different things and seeing if we can beat the system. There are a couple of games that we can try to do with a little bit of skill, try to beat that, and then we know which one the rare cards are to get the whole sets of some of these different coin pusher games, and it's become a thing. I'm not sure if it's going to continue to be that way, but certainly for the last 2 years, we've spent a considerable amount in the arcade. And the arcade, actually, we have a rule at the arcade with whatever points that you earn with your tickets, you buy gifts for other people throughout the year, and that will become Christmas gifts, or sometimes it's Festivus gifts. So we'll do joke gifts the day before on Festivus, which is a Seinfeld reference, on December 23rd. But you have to, those are the rules. You have to spend your tickets on somebody else in the family for those arcade tickets. But I went back, and I think I was around 1,600 in arcade last year. I can't believe I'm saying that. And we'll see. But we got a couple of Xboxes and a lot of gift certificates from that with our own tickets. So I'm not saying that is a profitable endeavor, but we did get some of that money back with gifts. Oh, man. And then the third spending behavior that I am working through is eating out. And I have listed sometimes DoorDash and Uber Eats have now become a very convenient thing, which hurt when I am expense tracking and plugging in my expenses. And DoorDash and Uber Eats have this really misleading way of pricing. So if you've ever ordered money on DoorDash or Uber Eats, you'll get pulled in for an $11.99 meal, and then you'll buy one for your wife. So in your mind, I'm going $11.99 plus probably $12 or $13.99 because she has $2 extra because she's gluten-free. So I'm at 20. In my mind, I'm at $25. Going, okay, out the door, I'll be $30. And as soon as you click through to the end, you're on your head going, how did I just spend $55 for these 2 meals? And so once again, when you do this over and over again, you can get into some pretty heavy expenses, which if you feel like you're getting value from it, then go ahead and continue to do it. I don't feel like I get value from it all the time and wish I would just cook something myself on those nights. And so that's my third one. Christmas, arcade, and eating out and DoorDash. All are in that fourth category of spending behavior. Oh, as we were depicting here, we're all going through this thing together, and we're trying to make good decisions. We have to understand we're not always going to make perfect decisions, and it's never too late to change these things or to improve on some of these behaviors, but sometimes you have to assess it and acknowledge it. And once again, I hope you realize we're not doing it in a way that is overly judgmental. It's just, we can laugh about it and go, oh my God, this is what I'm doing. How much am I spending? But it also, I want to make sure that this adds a little bit of clarity to why we're doing it, because the first three, I can easily trace back to my past experiences into why I felt this way and how I had to somehow override those thoughts to change my mind around that over time. So I hope this helps you. Was curious though if what were some of the things that you're thinking about. If you want to hit me up, I would love to hear from you. If you have new ideas or just want to reach out, I really appreciate it. So thanks to you. Thanks to those of you who have done that. And don't forget me if you're looking for somebody to teach you in this area of your company or your group, your conference, doing all these things. So staying busy, but if I can assist or serve you in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, bryanfoltice.com, on Instagram, or hopefully I get my act together and get that Facebook page up as well. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.